all the king's horses' ass and all the king's men had been lining up to pay tribute. This week, a Republican congressman introduced legislation to put Trump's face on a $100 bill. But not to be outdone, another Republican lawmaker wants to go even higher than the $100, proposing legislation to design a $250 bill featuring Donald Trump. Okay, it gets even crazier. There's also a push to make Trump's birthday a federal holiday, rename Dulles Airport after him, and carve his face into Mount Rushmore. But of course, the biggest gesture of them all may be Senator Lindsey Graham, who posted this after Trump's joint address. Trump 2028. Yes, that is United States Senator Graham jumping on the unconstitutional bandwagon and endorsing a third Trump term. So we know Trump sees himself as a king. We know the party sees him as a king as well. But how do our federal courts see it? Well, we got the answer to that question late this week when a federal judge reversed Trump's firing of a member of the National Labor Relations Board. Here's part of the ruling. An American president is not a king, not even an elected one. A president who touts an image of himself as a king or a dictator, perhaps as his vision of effective leadership, fundamentally misapprehends the role under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Amen to that. I guess the Constitution still matters, folks. Joining me now, former Republican Congressman Joe Walsh, an incoming senior Washington correspondent and co-host for MSNBC, my buddy Eugene Daniels. Joe, I couldn't help but notice your head nodding there throughout that. I'm just going to let you address those scenarios from the $250 bill to Mount Rushmore to, a third Trump term.
It's too easy to have fun with this. But, Michael, this is scary shit, pardon me, on a Sunday morning. And Lindsey Graham there, a United States Senator, you don't joke about that.
Right.
Trump's what, 78, 79 years old? I have no doubt that if Trump could, he would try to run again. I think, Michael, the biggest failure of all of us during this Trump era has been the failure of imagination. Mm-hmm. We have not imagined how bad and how low he'd go. He tried to overthrow an American election 4 years ago. I have no doubt that he could try to stop the midterm elections. If he's physically able, he may try to run again in 28. This is really scary.
It is scary, Eugene, and you've covered Trump for quite a bit. Contrast your understanding, appreciation, if you will, of Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0 in light of what is now put on the table, this imperial presidency that he's trying to create.
Yeah, I think what folks are seeing, what you saw on Tuesday in his joint address, is that Trump 1.0 was being stopped from doing some of these things, right? The people that were around him, the Republicans who had grown up in the RNC, who had been a part of your RNC at one point, all of those folks saw an end to Trumpism. They saw, okay, at some point, whether it's 4 or 8 years, we're going to have a Republican Party that looks like what we're used to. That's not the case anymore. So that means people get on the Trump train. And the Trump train includes, nowadays, people who are either true believers that work with him in the White House or don't see their jobs as trying to stop him from doing anything. They're not going to take things off the Resolute desk like happened in Trump 1.0. They're not going to stop him from doing things. If he wants to do something, they're going to find ways for him to do it, right? That is something that you hear over and over and over again from folks. And I've talked to a lot of people, and one thing that stuck out to me was on the 19th, before they got in, someone who was going into the DOJ and is now there said that they're ready to test the boundaries and stretch them, right? And I said, well, which boundaries? And they said all of them, right? And so it is about all of those things. And so that's the difference between 1.0 and 2.0. The people around him don't see themselves as needing to stop anything. They want to go.
They're there to advance it. They're there to give more meaning and purpose, sort of making it more official, Joe, in many respects. And you see that, I think, in this cabinet meeting, where at one point Trump, just has to sort of check, I guess, Elon Musk and says, oh, the cabinet members, you guys are in charge. You get to decide. He just gets to advise. How much of that, what does that say to you about how Trump is looking at, to what Eugene just said, looking at how he wants these scenarios to play out in these various agencies? That pitter-pat between Marco and Elon really was just, sort of slinging between the two men. But at the end of the day, I think Trump is going to allow Elon to sling a little bit more than Rubio. But how do you see it? Even though he says, you are in charge, Rubio.
No, I agree with you, Michael. I think Trump views Elon as the man.
Yeah.
Elon as the man to do his dirty work. In a weird way, you can't blame Trump for feeling like he's a king. We talk about a king. What is that? Somebody who believes they're above the law and they're not accountable. Well, you can't blame Trump. Look at all he's gotten away with, and no one's ever held him accountable.
Right.
And here he sits in the White House. He's got no legislative branch to worry about. The Republican Party is his.
Right.
Who's going to stop him? The courts, the people? He feels untouchable right now.
And that's the part I find the most frustrating, Eugene. I mean, you're on the Hill. You're around about D.C. You're seeing these players in the quiet spaces, right? We'll talk about those quiet spaces, right? And they're leveling up what they really think and what they really feel. And what kills me about that is everyone to a person would say, oh, this is awful. We can't let this happen. Dude, you have the power to stop it. How do you see that? I mean, how come they can't say, oh, well, wait a minute. There are 10, 20, 30, 50 of us in Congress who don't want to see the Department of Education blown up, or we don't want to see USAID go away because of its, that's part of our soft power. No, Mr. President. What happens?
You're going to be shocked, but they are saying different things in front of the camera. They're saying just behind closed doors. What I hear often from Republicans is they're hopeful that they won't have to stand up to him because they're scared of what happen. They think that, let the courts handle it, right? They think that the courts will shake things out, the things that he really wants that they see as unconstitutional, these Republicans. They're like, the courts will handle that. We won't have to worry about it because they're worried about their families. They're worried about the people that work for them. Because it's not just, Donald Trump is going to send a mean Truth Social post about you, right? It is that you're going to start getting death threats from folks that are his followers. You're going to start your kid who is going to college, someone may bother them. Those are the kinds of things they're thinking about. And I want to add just really quickly on that cabinet meeting, what I found most interesting wasn't that Donald Trump likes to, pit people and have that fight, which is also fascinating and has been a part of his whole life, but mostly that it was clear that he was hearing from these cabinet members that they were getting frustrated with how much Elon was able to do and is able to do. And so that moving forward is something that folks should keep watching, right? Marco Rubio was kind of the first one because of U.S. aid and what Elon did over there. And there's a lot of frustration within the cabinet about how Elon Musk has been able to run roughshod across their departments and agencies quickly with reckless abandon and with 20-year-olds doing it when they thought that they would be doing the job of a cabinet secretary.
Yeah.
But they're pretty quiet about it.
Poor little cabinet members. I feel so bad for you. So to you, Joe, on Eugene's point about the courts being the bulwark against all of this, we saw the side eyes and the horrific response to Comey Barrett Comey Barrett at that Capitol Hill event. What say you? She's been an independent player. In many respects, she and the Chief Justice sometime align on rulings. What to expect there?
The king will defy a court order.
That's the next piece of this.
Michael, the king's going to defy the Supreme Court. Yeah. And then what does the Republican Party do? I mean, the king...
Well, then, not the party. What the hell does the country do?
Right. Right now, the king is standing with Putin and standing against the free world, and the party's quiet. When the king defies the Supreme Court, what does the country do?